And the title of the talk today is The Meaning of Padre Pio's Stigmata, and how they were so intimately connected to our Lord. Hello friends, and welcome to this channel following Padre Pio. And here through a series of short stories, we take a look at the life of our great saint, Padre Pio, who was a Capuchin friar, mystic, a tremendous miracle worker. Do stay tuned to find out more about Padre Pio and also to see what his intercession could do for you. Just a quick note that we do have a Mass celebrated every Friday in which we bring your intentions to Padre Pio. All you have to do is enroll your intentions, and you can see the video on the end screen how to do that. And we do encourage everyone to be part of our Padre Pio apostolate. It would be tremendous if you would help by liking our video and sharing the video with your friends and with your colleagues. And today's story begins after Padre Pio's death, when Friar Modestino, who we've heard about in a previous recent video, he is assigned the task of documenting Padre Pio's inventory. And Brother Modestino, there he discovers on many of Padre Pio's items blood, on both his clothing items and on his handkerchiefs. And this blood, of course, was from Padre Pio's stigmata. So these stigmata, they were wounds which Padre Pio carried on his hands and his feet and in his side, very similar to the wounds of our Lord. Padre Pio carried these his whole life. They were part of his cross he had to bear. But to Friar Modestino, there was one item which stood out in particular, and that was Padre Pio's woollen undershirt, which Padre Pio had in fact worn on Good Friday way back in 1921. So where did the stigmata, which was our blessing in a sense, but also Padre Pio's saga, where did it all begin? Let's take a look at this. So going back to Good Friday, as we said, 1920, 3 years before this, and it was a couple of days after the feast of the stigmatization of Saint Francis, and the following event took place. So this was the 20th of September 1918. And then Padre Pio was praying in the choir loft in the church, and he was making his thanksgiving after Mass. And he knelt before this beautiful wooden crucifix. It was made of cypress, and it was carved in the 17th century by an unknown artist. It was a beautiful crucifix. And here, at this time, Padre Pio received the stigmata. But he hid this fact very well. So only the very astute observation of one of Padre Pio's spiritual daughters, her name was Nina Campanile, brought this whole thing to light, this receiving the stigmata. And she had noticed these marks on Padre Pio's hands, and this idea started to develop, and then words started to spread around. And then later on, a Father Paulino, he heard via the grapevine of these marks on Padre Pio's hands. And so now he wanted to confirm himself. And he went to Padre Pio's cell, and there he was able to observe personally. And very discreetly, he saw that these marks on Padre Pio's hands, they were as Nina had described. And immediately after this, Father Paulino, he notified the provincial superior. His name was Father Benedetto, asking him, please, it's urgent, come here quickly to our monastery to have a look at this. But Father Benedetto instructed him not to speak to anyone about this. And so, because of this, it remained silent for a time. Even the closest people in the monastery, his associates, knew nothing about it. There was this absolute silence. Though Father Benedetto did do one thing. He wrote a letter to Padre Pio, instructing Padre Pio that he was to give a full account of what had taken place on September the 20th. And so Padre Pio is now obliged under obedience, compelled to reveal the details. And so we take this story, this account from Father Bernardetto's book, or Padre Pio's diary. And these are Padre Pio's own words, his own writing. And he tells us, I yielded to a drowsiness similar to a sweet sleep. And all the internal and the external senses, and even the very faculties of the soul, they were immersed in this indescribable stillness. He says, an absolute silence surrounded and invaded me. I was suddenly filled, Padre Pio tells us, with great peace and abandonment, which just effaced everything else. And all of this happened in a flash, in an instant. Then Padre Pio goes on to say in the letter that he suddenly saw this mysterious, exalted being before him. He said whose appearance was very similar to the personage that he had pierced his side just a month earlier with a lance. He said the difference was this time that on September the 20th, the hands and the feet and the side of this exalted being, they were dripping with blood. And so looking at the mysterious person, this filled Padre Pio with some sort of a terror, and he believed he was going to die. And he felt sure that he would have died if the Lord had not come to his aid and strengthened him. And after this, the vision just vanished. And Padre Pio discovered on his own hands and feet and side, they were now dripping with blood. So imagine that. What an incredible mystical experience. He's just received our Lord in the Eucharist, and this great stillness and peace pervades. And this is contrasted very strongly with Padre Pio seeing our Lord with the crucifixion wounds in his hands, and the intense agony that our Lord was feeling, Padre Pio experienced in this scene. And after this, the vision recedes, and then Padre Pio himself is carrying these wounds. So something entirely mystical had become a physical reality. Now there was another slightly different account given 50 years later. This is towards the end of Padre Pio's life, and it's slightly different, but that is a story for another occasion. And then soon to follow on this channel, we will be having a look at a miracle that took place in the United States, and it involves a family, and the breadwinner of this family had a heart attack, and the desperate times that are about to set in. And Padre Pio intervenes. Please do join us for that talk. And if you're new to our channel and not yet subscribed, then do subscribe to our channel. Click that subscribe button below, and also click the reminder bell to receive notifications. And once again, do enroll your Mass prayer intentions.